Right.
Hello, I'm so happy today to introduce you to my dear friend, Kathy Vick from runlikeagirl.org. And
Yes.
she is a life coach, and I met her through my friend Liz Haney, who said, "You might like Kathy Vick," and I love Kathy Vick. And I called her right away because, the first 30 minutes is free or whatever. But I think it's because the coaches need to find out if you are right for them, not just are they right for you. And right away, we knew we liked each other. And
Yes.
I asked her, what's the difference between a coach and a couch? No, the difference between a coach and a therapist. And
Yeah.
do you remember what you said? Because if you
Oh,
don't,
yeah.
what
Well,
did you,
we're
what did you
trained
say?
we're trained to say it a certain way, but what I say is when if you're in pain, you need a therapist. If you're looking to go forward in your life and you're looking for something new, then you need a life coach.
Oh, yeah, that's what I heard you say. And of course, I leave people in pain at times, but I didn't at the time need a therapist. But I really, Kathy was the first one to tell me that I was a woman who liked to make connections because of the pandemic of loneliness in the world. And
Yes.
I didn't know that that was my impetus behind my love of hospitality. But you figured it out for me, Kathy.
Yeah. Well, it was pretty clear.
Oh, well, to you maybe.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your family and your work.
Well, my work right now includes I'm now coaching for nonprofits as well as coaching
Mm.
with women for personal coaching as well as grief coaching.
Oh,
And my family, I'm married now for 23 years to Patrick Vick, who is the love of my life. And
oh,
I have two golden retrievers, Maggie and April, who are both service dogs. One is being taken out of service, and the other one is being trained for Pat because Pat does have a balance issue. So he uses a service dog for his balance. I have two children, Andrea, who now lives in Philadelphia and works in project management, and Patrick, who lives in Kentucky and I have a grandson named Logan, who is also
oh,
in Kentucky. So, and I've got a lot of family here in California, my sister and my parents, and who are still living. I'm very fortunate.
hmm,
In their late 80s, they're still hopping around, making life interesting. So
wonderful.
that's it in a nutshell.
Tell me before I forget, because sometimes I forget when I interview business women, what is the way that people can get a hold of you?
Well, I get a lot of people coming to me through my book, Run Like a Girl, but also from referrals, but also on my website, runlikeagirl.org, or my Facebook page. Or they can just call me, and my phone number is on the website, so they can call me and set up a time to talk. I'd love to hear what
Wonderful.
you're thinking.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, you know that the podcast is on living a legacy, which I like to say that we're all living one, whether or not we're paying any attention
Yeah.
to what kind of legacy I'm actually leaving this very day. And I think that makes our life count when we think in terms of legacy. So, what legacy do you want to pass down, or are you in the process of passing down to those who even know you slightly over the phone or those who know you well?
Well, right now, the legacy I'm working on is very different than the one I started with. I am working on the legacy of resiliency, which is the gift that you receive through suffering. And
Explain that. Explain that a little bit.
yes, yes, I think one of the upsides of suffering is this: if you can lean into suffering and understand that it is part of our spiritual journey that Jesus invites us into to be a
Mm,
part of his suffering, then we understand that there's something that happens to us through that suffering. And part of it is we become more resilient. If we look at the track record, or sometimes in coaching, we call it your life map, of all the hard, difficult things we've been through, we realize that every time we go through those things, we gain more confidence,
mm.
more faith, more hope, then we can get through the next thing. And so that's what I think of in terms of resilience. And so that's really the legacy I'm working on right now, is trying to understand that.
Could I
And
ask you before we talk about why you've had to go into this new avenue of life, talking about a journey, don't you you know that not everybody responds to suffering in those positive ways.
Oh,
And
and I would
my
say,
girlfriend says you either become bitter or better. Obviously, you're becoming better.
yeah,
So
yeah.
how do you help people who are so tunneled into their suffering that they really can't stand hearing about resiliency?
I think the thing I would say is you have a choice every day. Every 24 hours, you have a choice. You can either suffer or you can ask God, what is the lesson in the suffering? What is it that you're trying to show me in my life? What is it that you want me to come alongside you with? Because we know that one of the aspects about God that I personally love is that he intercepts everything that the enemy sends our way to destroy
Wow,
it.
that's wonderful.
And he uses them in our lives. So we have a choice whether we just want to suffer or we want to get the lesson the spiritual journey provides. So that is, and I think that one of the ways that I have learned that is really by walking alongside of some of my friends who have lost their husbands.
Mm,
And just the spiritual, I never had thought about grief as being a spiritual journey that everyone in life goes through.
hmm hmm
And everyone gets something different from it.
Well, C.S. Lewis said something about the cost of love is loss.
That's right.
And of course, he wrote a book on it. And I think you should write a book on what you're just saying. I think it's so profound. It's so profoundly true. It's things that I've sensed but have not put into words. So thank you for doing that for us
These
today.
are the things if you're suffering, and I think everyone now listening is probably doing a fair amount of suffering through this pandemic.
Right.
And so it's a good time to ask that question, and a good time to listen to what God has to say to you about it.
How are you currently doing this as far as leaving a legacy of resilience?
Well, I've had the opportunity to be my husband's caregiver for the last 5 years. My husband uh, was a firefighter. He did a lot of things in his life to help other people, but in this particular point in his life, he has really developed several chronic illnesses, sort of an autoimmune response in his body. And it's put me in the position of taking care of somebody that's sometimes cranky and not in a good frame of mind,
Mm,
and driving them to appointments and doing things and not necessarily always feeling appreciated.
yeah.
And I know there's some people out there that know what I'm talking about,
Right.
because when I talk about this at the Bible study that I facilitate, most of the women understand what that's like to be in that situation.
Mhm.
And so I began to really, at the beginning of this, I really resisted the journey
Hmm.
and really didn't want it in my life. I wanted my old life back.
Of course.
But I began to realize that was fruitless. And
Mhm.
all it did was make me feel more frustrated and more frustrated.
Mhm.
So I began to pray differently. And the prayer
What would
goes something
ca-
like this.
go ahead.
I would pray, God, today you have a plan for me. Let me lean into it. What is it? How do I come alongside of you? What is it that you want to do with this day? And I let each day unfold instead of waking up with all these expectations of what would happen in the day. I consulted him first and I let him just roll out the day as he saw fit. And I tried to come alongside of him. If he said, just be of service, I was in that frame of mind. I would
Mm,
just serve, just wash that next set of dishes, just make that next meal.
right. Do the next thing.
Yeah.
Um, Tell me, was there a turning point that you recall when you started praying that prayer?
Yes, I think honestly, it's been about 2 years ago. So
Mm.
for 3 years, I really suffered,
Wow.
expecting, because with somebody with chronic, you're always expecting that they're going to get better, that you're going to get your life back. And then friends, would ask, how's Pat doing? How's Pat doing? Well, that's a hard question to answer, because on one level, Pat may be doing better. On another level, he may really be struggling with something. And I think after a while, people kind of gave up praying for Pat, not necessarily our chapel people, but some people, I think, just it made them weary.
Yeah.
So, that that's part of it. But 2 years into this, I realized this wasn't working. And I was very unhappy. And this has been very hard on our marriage, as I know it is for a lot of people. And I just said, I've got to change my mindset. And I decided that what I would do is I would just turn it around and see it as a service to Jesus. Instead of thinking in terms of whether Pat would see it as something wonderful and appreciate me, because when somebody's in that much pain, they often aren't in the place where they can do that. And so I just began to see it as a service to Jesus, and that changed everything for me.
My next question is, what changes did you have to make? It sounds like you made a change in a mindset for your own sake. I mean, it's almost self-serving. I like to call it self-serving sanctification. It really helps us when we're like Jesus, because it helps us feel less unhappy. Just like what you just said. It's so practical, what you just said.
Yeah. I mean, I was so miserable, and now I just, things that used to really bug me flow off my shoulders because they don't really matter.
That's right.
I'm very clear on who I am here to serve and what I am to be doing every day. And I think one of the things is I really let go of the idea of wanting my old life back, because everything I know about God is that he's always about doing something new. And
I love that.
What he has for me next may be incredibly wonderful, better than any old life that I could have gotten back. And so instead of seeing the possibilities of this new one, I was hanging on to the old one. And so I really began to focus on that. And I stopped resisting the suffering. I stopped resisting it. I'm going to have good days. I'm going to have not so good days. And I'm going to have horrible days. That's just part of the journey. And
what have you learned more about God through this suffering?
That God is who he says he is.
Meaning?
That he will not abandon you. That he will always be there to encourage you. And you can hear it in my voice, because I really know it's true.
Bless you. It makes me cry too. What I love what you just said is that God is always in the process of doing something new. And when I'm complaining about what's happening in my life, he's like, if you would just turn the corner, Sue, you would see what I really have for you. And I go, no,
that's
just
right.
Like a baby holding on to my toy.
Yeah, exactly.
Wonderful.
And I think part of it has been trying new things. I never saw myself as a Bible study leader. I just want to confess that right now. I worked in an all-women's organization early in my career, and I said to myself, I don't want to go to any more women's meetings, any more women's Bible studies. I don't want any part of that. And a friend of mine her and her husband started a chapel here in Southern California for all us RVers. So we have about 125 RVers that get together on Sunday and meet. She also had a women's Bible study, and she invited me to it. It took her a couple of times to get me there, and I started going, and it was such a wonderful experience. And so for about 4 years, I went to her Bible study, and then 2 years ago, she passed away suddenly. And she had to, I didn't realize it at the time, been mentoring me to take over her Bible study. She had started having me lead it when she wasn't feeling well, because she was going through a lot of health issues. Well, when she passed away, it was pretty much a done deal that Bible study was going to go on, and that I was going to have to try to lead it. And I said to my husband, Pat, I said, I'm going to give it my best shot. I'm going to ask God to help me find my groove in it, because it's not something I ever saw myself doing. And he did. And I absolutely love it. And I love my ladies, and it continues to grow. I was counting up I was sending out something to them last night. There's like 38 women in this group.
Wow.
I mean, and I'm out here in nowhere, Owanga, California. And I just thank God for it, because he's really knit us together in a real sisterhood.
Mm.
And the majority of them are older than me,
Mhm.
with a whole lot of wisdom, and I always learn from them. So trying something new, being willing to try something new is really important. And then I always say this, and I know you know this about me, keeping your sense of humor about life.
Yep.
So key.
Mhm.
And my Goldens help me with that, because they're silly and goofy and clown-like, and they make me laugh every day.
My mother always had a lot of younger friends, and she said it's because she was herself. And they found her so hilarious, which I found her annoying at times because she was my mother, but
Right.
um, I now it's coming back to bite me since I have 3 daughters. But Kathy, you have been profoundly helpful to me as well as I know to my listeners today, and I really praise the Lord for you in my life and that we're continuing to be friends. Let's catch up
Oh,
more
I do
more
too,
often.
Sue.
Yeah.
I get such a big, it makes me happy every time I see you on Facebook. See you doing what you're doing. The ministry you have to women is just amazing. I tell everybody about you.
Oh, so sweet. Well, the other day I tried Facebook Live and I got the ceiling in and the backyard long before my face showed up. But I didn't take it down because people started commenting. But I thought, oh, I'm showing my age here. Well, wonderful. Is there I think you've shared a lot of wisdom, but is there any last minute thing that you'd like to share on with my audience for making our lives count beyond ourselves?
Yeah, I think understand that there are people around you watching how you
Mm-hmm.
do life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really important, because a lot of us have daughters and sons, we have friends, we have sisters that are watching us, and they may go through hard things too.
Yeah,
And if they see you go through it and gain resiliency, then they know they can too.
that's right.
And I think that's the greatest lesson of all, is that we're here to inspire each other
Mm-hmm.
to be
So,
better.
so true. We're here to, I could just put a quote on everything you said.
Yeah. Well, I
Um,
also wanted to read a scripture before I get off here. That one that I read a lot. Blessed is the one who perseveres. This is James 1:12.
mm-hmm.
Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him.
Mm.
I
Well,
hope we
he does
all
love
get the
you.
crown of life.
Yes. I get one about once a week, but I think you're more like 6 out of 7. Thank you so much, Kathy. And I look
Oh,
forward
thank you,
to
Sue.
broadcasting this in a few months. And
Good.
maybe the pandemic shelter will be over by then, but
Maybe.
maybe not. And you're going to be way ahead.
All right.
Love you
Thanks,
lots.
sweetie. Love you too.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.